Fjällräven isn't here to conquer mountains, tame rivers, or beat the weather. We are here to go slowly, to tread carefully, and to cherish the visit. For us, the outdoor experience has never been a race to victory. It's an ongoing journey to create equipment and memories that last for generations to come. Our mission is to inspire more people to move with nature. We do this by developing durable and functional equipment that never goes out of fashion. What we really want is to make it easier for people to enjoy spending time in nature on nature's terms. This is our passion, so let's use our vast experience and competence to help more people feel at home in nature, because when they do, they will take greater care of it. Get started on your Fjällräven journey by heading to fjällräven.com today. Dave, Owen, as the air cools and the trail beckons, Lems is ready to move with you.
Is it now?
It's just right with you. Little lemmings running alongside you, leading you. Don't ask them where they're leading you.
It sounds like one
lemmings?
of those little fruits that falls from your tree that you can't eat them. I don't know what purpose they serve.
But you want to. They're good. They're beautiful colors.
They are, but You'll
go full Chris McCandless if you do.
Right.
Is it too soon to make jokes about Chris McCandless?
That's right. I have a bushel of Lems in my yard. Right.
Well, you could have a bushel of their new shoes, the Trailblazer Mid. They've got the Mighty Trail Thrasher and the insulated Breck boot. And everybody listening to this, you can get your Lems boots to get ready for the season ahead. Attention outdoor retailers, Lems will be at the running event and Switchback, which will be next week. You can see all of those styles, including the unedible fruits that they make that Dave referenced. And you can also check out Lems will have their new running shoes on display at the running event. They also, retailers, again, Lems has recently expanded their wholesale sales team. If you want to meet your new local rep, you can send an email to Colo, that's C-O-L-O, at lemsshoes.com. Just make sure you tell them that the Rock Fight sent you. Lems, where less equals more.
Rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight.
Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, live from the jungle of Sierra's jet-railed closeouts and unboxed hiking boots, it's Eoin Comerford and producer Dave.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can get
baby.
lost in there.
Mm-hmm. It's a treasure hunt.
It is.
It is a treasure. That's how they should describe it over there at Sierra. It's a treasure hunt.
Well, no, they do. If you listen to any of we're going to get into this, but if you listen to any of their earnings calls, TJ Maxx, that's their whole vibe. They say treasure hunt. That's what we're going for.
I love that, actually, because it's just like,
Do they
it's a
have
little bit of owning it.
Do they have David Spade come on and give you hints to where to find the treasure?
David Spade.
Yeah,
He's the
David spokesperson for Sierra.
Yeah.
He is?
Yeah. In fact,
when I think outdoors, I think Spade. I think Hollywood Minute from 1988 or whatever. That's what I think
I'm just saying. That's right.
You take a dump in the outdoors, Colin, what do you need?
Toilet paper?
A
spade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh,
there
my
it is.
gosh.
Just connected the dots.
Yeah.
That's why he's the consigliere, folks.
There you go.
Well, like we said, today we are going to be talking about Sierra and all of their merchandise. We're also going to be talking about Nike's potential big push into trail running, answering a listener email, and of course, we'll be zipping through the lightning round before wrapping it all up with the parting shot. Before we get to that, we have some programming reminders for you. Are you ready to see us, the Rock Fight, live? You're going to have me, Shante Salabert, and producer Dave, and the consigliere, Eoin Comerford, at the running event next Wednesday, December 3rd. We're doing a live taping of the Rock Fight in the Training Camp Theater at 4:30 during the happy hour. It's over by the Switchback side of the event if you're going to be there. We're going to be joined on stage by folks like TRE show director Christina Henderson, president of the OIA, Kent Ebersol. These are exciting names, folks, and potentially one other special guest. We haven't locked it in as of this recording, but probably someone else. You're also going to hear from Gear Abbey, right? We're going to ask a Gear Abbey question, and of course, you'll get producer Dave and the rest of our crew's assessment of the booth situation. Is that a fair way to describe it, Dave?
So fair warning, I think, to anybody that's going to be there, we will be watching you. Okay, we're going to be going booth to booth. We'll be looking for those laptop people, the people that just have black drape and a crappy banner. We're so don't say you weren't warned.
Any sales management out there who wants us to report back on the laptop sales reps, let us know. We'll rat them out.
Mm-hmm.
Doing your brand dirty. But if you were at Switchback Spring, you know how much fun we're going to have. We hope we see you in San Antonio. Hey, and if there's one thing in life you can depend on, it's that Gear Abbey doesn't take days off. All right, this Thanksgiving Thursday, you're going to get an all new episode of Gear Abbey with host Shantae Salabert. She answers all of your burning outdoor questions. And lastly, we want to hear from you. Email us at myrockfight@gmail.com. Reach out on LinkedIn where you can search up Rockfight and find us, or head to Instagram where we are Rockfight Co. Send us a message. We'd love to hear from you.
Colin, you know who does take days off?
Colin True.
What are you talking about?
Do you know who does?
What? What do you mean? Are you referring to me?
The newsletter. The newsletter.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Friday's episode, which came out after this taping.
Yeah, it's Friday's episode that came out on when? Tuesday?
It'll come out. It'll be out by the time late Friday afternoon. It came out. I can speak that now because it will have happened by the time this is released. Listen, it's my daughter's birthday on Thursday, and I chose to spend time with them. My twins are 15.
Okay.
There you go. Feel bad now. I hope you all feel terrible.
Well, you didn't tell the people that on LinkedIn. You said it was because you were going hiking, which was clearly bullshit. Clearly bullshit.
No, I definitely went hiking.
Okay.
Without his
and it was their
daughters.
birthday. Yeah.
Right.
No, they were not there.
Yeah.
They want to go hiking?
Yeah.
They're 15. Oh, my God. All right. Well, look, today we're starting in the mailbag. And in response to last week's coverage here on the Rock Fight at Patagonia's Impact Report, we received the following email from listener Caroline, who wrote in, Patagonia certainly opens the doors to people giving them grief, and I think that's a good thing. If they're working with the same factories as fast fashion, and the people who care about this stuff want to see meaningful system changes, then there's really no other avenue to openly push back. Pushing back against the Shein or whoever just lands on deaf ears. I think the thought is if Patagonia starts paying more to their workers, that then the manufacturing facility will prioritize them as customers, in turn putting pressure on other companies to use the same facility to have fairer demands. Even when pay is run through a PPP calculator, only 30-something% of SOAS make a livable wage. It just feels pretty gross that even the best companies are supporting the system. I'd be curious what other ways you guys view was worthwhile pushing back to change the system. Appreciate the show. Thanks. From Caroline. Great take, great email. Thank you, Caroline. I think the thing about Patagonia, before I turn it over to my co-host here, is their standards are ridiculously high when it comes to manufacturing partners. There may not be a better example of a big brand who does all that they can to make their stuff the right way. And when you do compare the larger outdoor industry to the rest of the fashion industry, which, cover your ears if you don't want to hear this, the outdoor apparel world is part of the fashion industry, most of our brands do it better. So there isn't a baseline of kind of outdoor brands, including Patagonia, doing it better versus the Sheins of the world. But I'm curious, Dave, Owen, what do you guys think about Caroline had to say here?
I mean, I think, first of all, I push back on the thought that they are working in the same factories that produce product for Shein. They're just not.
Correct. Yeah,
right?
agreed. They are not.
They're working with the best of the best factories in terms of quality, in terms of their technical abilities, and in terms of the way that they treat their workers. So,
and if those things get violated, they are swift to take action.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think Patagonia is doing a great job here. They're one of the. I mean, there are lots of outdoor brands that do look at some fair labor standards and other things, but this is taking it to a whole other level in terms of transparency and talking about the challenges that they face. Because really, Patagonia can't do this by themselves. They aren't Patagonia's workers, as was inferred there in the email. They work for the factory, and that factory probably supports 5-10 other different brands that are out there. And that's really what Patagonia says in this. They say, we cannot move the needle alone. Low wages are a systemic challenge in our industry. And so engagement with government is just as crucial. And so that's really the piece, is that I think they're doing a great job, shining a light on the issue, which I think more brands need to do. And I guess as I was reflecting on this, I was thinking back in this time of all the tariff issues. A lot of brands talked about, we tried to push as much of that increase back onto the factory, right? Well, did those brands ask, okay, factory, if you're cutting my price by 5%, did that come out of your profit or did it come out of your workers' wages? How many brands are asking that question? So yeah, I really applaud Patagonia for really taking a stand here.
Dave, when you look back at our time at Polartec, we heard a lot of these stories, right? Because we knew a lot of who were the cut and sew manufacturers were working with the brands who bought Polartec fabrics, and this always seemed like a real point of differentiation for the industry that I don't know if anybody never did a really good job of shining a light on, because the practices of our industry are superior to the fast fashion world, and it doesn't really get the attention it deserves. Is there a good way to do that, to make it matter to consumers?
To make it matter to consumers, that's the $20 question, isn't it?
That's
Colin?
it, right?
It's always ever. I mean, you look at all of our trust marks that are out there and our auditing agencies and everyone trying to build a brand that people then kind of look to validate their moral position. Look, the term fast fashion is a pretty big, broad thing. So it's easy to say they're made in the same factories as fast fashion, but where does that line? I mean, Shein's a pretty specific example, and Shein, from my understanding, makes about 95% of their products in one city in China, or one district or area. So it's not like they're all over the place, where I don't think that's the case with Patagonia. And like you said, the outdoor, I don't think we can really worry about what the rest. This is the opposite of what we're saying. We need group kind of to push the system forward. You have to stop making products in scaled numbers, and that's the only way to solve that issue. I don't understand how you get products to market onto people in a growing population society and restrict the number of things that you make, right? So that's going to be the tension there that I don't know is resolvable.
Well, but we all also know we overproduce a ton of apparel, right? Based on
apparel, but how about specific to the outdoor channel? It is not the same. Do we overproduce? Yes. Do we overproduce in the same numbers as apparel? No, of course not. Not even close.
Is this an OIA question? Is this something where there's pressure to be put on the industry through the trade organization to say, hey, we need a little bit more of an alignment of if you're an apparel brand, you gotta, these are the vetted factories that you should be using. I mean, that might be obviously too limiting and you want to tell people how to run their own business.
Right.
But in terms of, again, the agreed to principles, the idea of we're trying to protect the environment, there's an assumption that if it's made by an outdoor brand, that it was done with some level of care by most consumers, right? And I'm sure there are plenty of offenders out there that aren't Patagonia as well. I mean, is there a path here, Owen, that kind of helps address some of this at a more larger scale?
I would say, I look to REI as an example. So a lot of people aren't aware, but REI has some pretty specific standards for their product suppliers, especially when it comes to sustainability, right? And they are starting to expand those requirements into other areas. And so if REI basically said, hey, it has to be fair trade, it has to be certified in a certain way, guess what? The industry would fall in line, because that is a big portion of where they're selling into. So I think it kind of has to become a pocketbook problem for the wider industry beyond the Patagonias of the world to really get behind it. And I think that would be where I think you could make a difference. And by the way, kudos to REI for what they have done with their supplier standards. But this could be that next step potentially.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to, and this is very dated information, one of the first guests we ever had on the Rock Fight nearly 3 years ago now was Ken Pucker, who is the former CEO of Timberland, and he is a big advocate now for green manufacturing. And he told me at the time that the New York Fashion Act, which was designed to, really make sure focus on Scope 3 emissions and things like that for brands and where they're sold, and if it passed, it would kind of put some regulatory restrictions in place for how you make things and then how it gets distributed in New York. And if you obviously want your stuff sold in New York City, you would have to acquiesce to those changes. And at the time of that recording, nearly 3 years ago, only one outdoor industry brand had signed on to support it. So there does come down to when these things do get put in place, and there might be good reasons why not to support it. I haven't read the legislation, but it just sort of seems at least on the surface, there still needs a real high level of buy-in to probably make mass change in this. And it still comes down to, Owen, to your point, you got to hit the pocketbook if you really want to make, drive change right now.
Yeah, especially in the current climate with tariffs and all the rest of it. Yeah, it's
not a priority.
Not a priority. Yeah.
All right, well, getting into our first big story of today, there were multiple developments over the past week that shows us where the swoosh, Nike, may be training its Sauron-like eye as the brand looks to rebound from a few down years.
It's a swoosh.
And no one listening to this podcast should be shocked that it appears to be running. More specifically, trail running. That's right. We fulfilled our weekly obligation to mention trail running on this podcast. No, first look, we have a new product from Nike. We have the Vomero Plus, which a headline in high snobiety ran that read, "This thick Nike is low-key built like a Hoka." And it does indeed look.
Well, that's
just
the
like a
dishonesty of the
Hoka.
press right there, Colin, because it ain't low key.
It's high key.
Right. Yeah, seriously.
And
And then on
although
Thursday-
I would say in response to that, this is by far not Nike's first max cushion shoe. I mean, they introduced the Invincible back in 21. So, but yes, it definitely looks like a Hoka though.
You could swap a logo out pretty quick and think that, oh yeah, that's a Hoka for sure. Then the other news last week was on Thursday of last week, Free Trail CEO Dylan Bowman announced that the Gorge Waterfalls 100K will be sponsored by Nike ACG and will have a $75,000 purse, making it one of the highest payout trail races anywhere, not just even in the U.S., anywhere. So, guys, let's talk about this. Is Nike coming for trail running? I mean, it sure looks like it.
100%. Of course they are. I mean, I think that the push back into running makes a ton of sense from a bunch of factors. One is it is the tip of the spear in terms of technology, which then does filter down to the others. I mean, look at Hoka today. That started really as more of a running technology, and now it's everywhere. Second, it's the category that's really growing, and it's growing because people are not running in the shoes, but they're buying them because they're super comfortable. And the third thing is, they trail running is the piece of running that's growing the fastest, right? It also is commanding some of the highest prices for those products, the super shoes, et cetera. So yeah, it makes a ton of sense for them to come after this.
Dave, you bought ACG, I believe, in our buy sell episode.
I did, and I'm still holding. You're
You're going to buy a little more.
Yeah,
I will double down on your
double
investment.
down. Look, if Nike can wear down skateboarding and become a legitimate brand in that space, what chance does trail running really have? I mean, this is a category that does they've got a 40-year ACG presence. It's running as part of their origin story, so they are already legitimate in this space. And to think that ACG is just going to stay this urban outdoor lifestyle-y thing, performance is just how the current regime is wired. All right. So that's going to be their default, is to go back to that playbook of events, of promotion, of advertising, of prize money. It's like categories need dream makers. Right. And so if you really want to move this from just a popular niche into something that's going to have more mainstream appeal and hold, you've got to create the dream making around that category. And it's a different media landscape. They did it with basketball in the 80s. They did it with tennis in the 90s. They've created these kind of cultures out of a niche. And I think this is what you're going to see here, too. The Olympics are coming up, so that's going to move right into the promotional aspect of it. But, long answer to, oh, yeah, they're coming.
Is there a little hubris there because we're Nike, we can just do it, right? I mean, since they've sort of
That's
been
their
a dominant
superpower.
Well, I understand, but
I would
there's
recommend
two
to
main
them.
incumbents called Hoka and Ultra out there. They're all of these brands we keep talking about, right? This is a category that really responds to the niche player. Are they almost too big? Are they Are they too mainstream to ascend to the top of the trail running world?
No. See, that's the time that it takes. The same thing you could say with skateboarding, right? Skateboarding was a very xenophobic category, right? I mean, it always was really hostile to outsiders and really, really rewarded, at least psychologically, the upstart. I mean, back in the day of action sports, Vans was considered a big, bad company. And I think at its time, it was like $60 million, right? So it's just like there's just such a different scale there of what's the big incumbent versus kind of the small upstart. And they will win over time. Right, yeah. Right now, they will just become legitimate and part of the landscape, I think.
Sorry, well, the other thing I would say is the key piece of that the press release about the Gorge Waterfalls is that it's sponsored by Nike ACG, not just Nike,
right?
Which I think is super smart for them to basically say, "Hey, listen, we're gonna have a sub brand where we can build all of that trail DNA and not be sort of diluted by the fact that we do all these other things. No, we're gonna have this sub brand and we're gonna go hard at it with ACG."
Well, and to the gorge waterfall, that's such an Oregon flex, right? So you want to put Nike and ACG on that together. I mean, you're talking like a dozen waterfalls running through that. Like, come on, that's prime real estate.
That's true. You may have had to recuse yourself from this conversation, Dave. All right, it's a little too close to home for you,
dude. That's Ponytail Falls. How can I resist?
Basically named for you.
Right,
let's be honest.
Right? Come on.
I guess, like, if you talk about the mainstream, and obviously with the, effectively, trail runners eliminating the light hiking category in a lot of ways, right? Like, of course, I feel like they will win there. But I think this is will they win, not just with the ACG brand sponsoring races, that kind of thing. Can the product win when it seems like the brands that are rewarded are often the Nordas and the Speedlands and the Mount Dakota, and it is kind of the niche-y sort of, that kind of hipster vibe of like, I knew about this before you did, versus like, who's going to be rolling up in the ACGs who aren't sponsored by Nike ACG? Well,
a ton of people. I mean, you look at even those numbers from Trailwaves in about who's represented at these even at the existing major events. Nike is still, I think, is still like top 3 there today, right? So I don't think it's going to take long for you to see Nike ACG on that list and moving up towards the top.
And let's not forget a single thing, and this might get Dave off on another tangent. What category launched Nike? Running.
Yeah,
right. The running brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, this is their heritage.
This is getting back to their roots. Absolutely.
Right?
Well, yeah. And like I said, ACG is 40 years old. So it's like, there's some heritage there too in the space. So it's not just completely new. And I would say all the newcomers we have, they're pushing product design forward, but all of the successful ones we've talked about, or the ones that are best positioned, let's be fair, they learned branding from Nike. Right. I mean, they bringing that type of vibe. You call them the hipster vibe, but they're bringing that kind of sophisticated image storytelling to the table. That's what Nike excels at as well. So it's like they're going to be a player within there. New players are going to have to just bring all of it in order to gain ground.
Yeah, this development might be the one thing to make me kind of question my choice to sell on trail running. It's kind of like, well, if Nike's going to do this, that could be the back on which this goes up a level that
right.
Maybe
and like
it could not have.
And
before.
This is what they can do. They can put money for prize money.
Yeah.
They can pay athletes living wages to go do their sport. I mean, that's what they bring to the table, and I'd like to see them doing that. Frankly, that's, like I said, we need dream makers in categories, and that's the way to do it.
All right, Willy Wonka. All right, so by the way, you've been on the ACG, corner for a while, Dave. So this is a pretty big win for you. When are we going to get to celebrate, your belief in Teva? Is that coming? Is that next?
We've got some work to do, Colin. We've got some work to do.
Hey, Rock Fighters, you've been asking for it, and now it's back. Time for some Rock Fight Radio, and we've got Darby Communications with their timely new hit, 21st Century Search.
You said your story got lost online in the scroll of endless borrowed lines. The boss decided who gets to be seen, but Darby knows how to train the machine. They tune your brand for the modern eyes, optimize for the new AI. From zero search, they can find your way through AI noise to the light of day. Darby, Darby, can you hear me? It's all in AI and I can't see. Darby, help me find my name in this algorithmic pairing rain. You bring me back to sell my merch. It's a 21st century search.
That was Darby Communications with 21st Century Search. Darby's your real person PR partner for today's digital world and trusted by brands like Lem's, Old Town, Jetboil, and QU. And hey, they can help your brand to get seen, be heard, and stand out in our new media reality. Head to darbycommunications.com. This one's for all the gear makers out there. The biggest barrier for killer new products is sourcing the right fabrics. Working with mills is a pain, and too often you get stuck with their whatever sort of fits. Well, what if we told you there was a partner who works with you to design, source, and curate fabrics that enhance your product line? And that partner It's Ripstop by The Roll. Ripstop by The Roll is your one-stop shop for the perfect fabric solution to your next hit piece of gear. These guys handle the headaches and will work with you to develop or find the right solution from yarn to finished fabric. They have the application experts and production partners that make your job easy. From cottage companies on Garage Grown Gear to 8-figure brands at REI, they've been around, they know what they're doing. Ripstop by The Roll simply wants to help you build the best product. So, hey, are you looking to source globally? Done. You want to find something domestically? They got you. Are you ready to learn more? Then head to ripstopbytheroll.com to connect today. All right, guys, you ready for the lightning round?
Yeah.
So ready.
Lightning round.
I always feel Owen's enthusiasm for the lightning round. Well, let's keep the running talk going. Last week, SGB reported that
more running.
run continues to grow.
Come on.
So
On,
sick of this.
Saucony,
Jesus.
Ultra, and Nike posted healthy Q3 gains. As previously talked about here on the show, Hoka slowed down a little bit, but still grew, as did Brooks and Asics. Dave, when will this fucking
grief.
end? When
Good
will boots come back? We need boots, Dave.
Oh, come on. It's just getting going. Well, they'll be back. They'll be back. Just wait. Just wait. I think society has to fall a couple more notches to really require the boot look and kind of steel toes and combat boots to come back.
Dr. Martin, save us.
I think that the more octogenarians
Dr. Martin,
are,
save us. Yeah.
well, right, the more octogenarians are rolling around in their Hokas, the more the youngest generation will go, I don't want to look like that. And so that will be the wheel naturally turning back to boots at that point.
It's true.
Please just promise me it's going to happen, guys. All right. Well, next up, per CISO, last week, REI announced that after shutting down their experiences division less than a year ago, they are back in the travel game as they announced a new partnership with Intrepid Travel to offer adventure travel trips to their members and customers. Owen, are you surprised to see this happen so quickly after REI closed down experiences?
Oh, not at all. In fact, in a post last month on LinkedIn about how REI is going to restructure their membership program, I talk about actually them adding outdoorsy benefits from outside companies. And the first one on the list was special discounts on adventure travel to help address the shuttering of REI experiences. So
I'm just teeing you up today.
Thank you.
Thank knocking these out. Yeah, just teeing you up.
But it just makes too much sense, right? Because they're going from a division that had 400 employees. That number still blows my mind, right? They lost money every year, even in their best years. They lost money on that whole deal because it was so labor intensive, we'll call it. This way, they get to offer basically most of the same stuff. And they're taking a commission, and they're getting, a special discount for their members. I mean, it's like a win-win-win from a purely financial perspective. Obviously, it's not a win-win-win for those 400 employees, which is not nothing.
Well, good luck to that. We'll see how that plans out. And then lastly, this episode will be releasing on the Monday of Thanksgiving week, which means that we are 2 days away from Women-Led Wednesday, the annual holiday that encourages everyone to shop from women-led brands. So each of us has brought a brand that we found by heading to womenledwednesday.com, where there are literally 18 pages of brands to choose from. It is an incredible resource. Owen, why don't you kick us off? Who do you got first?
So I still tell a story here. So in prep for this call, right, I reached out to all of the women-led brands that I know or work with. There was like 20, 25 brands. And like, hey, are you on this thing? How is it good? Has it helped? If you're not, you could get on. So I send this thing out, and I included Cassie Abel from Wild Rye on there. And then Cassie's like, well, this is great. Oh, thanks for promoting this, Owen. So she actually helped start Women-Led Wednesdays.
Yeah, she was behind
right,
it. Yeah,
exactly.
She's one of the founders of it.
She drove the thing.
Oh, you didn't know
I
that?
didn't know that. So I'm like this fool that's out there like, and Cassie's like, hey, Owen, yeah, this
Hey,
is
have
great.
you heard of this website? Let me explain it to you.
Well, no, I knew that she was on there and that she was featured, or that Wild Rye was. I just didn't know that she was the one who did it. So anyway, mea culpa there. But but to answer your question, I am actually going to go with Po Campo. So Po Campo is led by the indefatigable Maria Boosted, who is just, she's the best, but produces these really thoughtfully designed bags for urban cyclists that then transition from a bike to a backpack or to a tote or those sorts of things. So, it attaches maybe to panniers that turn into a backpack, whatever. Baskets, lots of really interesting, fun, colorful products for mainly targeted at women, but also men. They have a great kids line as well. So Po Campo, really fun brand.
All right, Dave, who you got?
Oh, I went through the lot of them, and I want you to know I landed on this before I knew its backstory. Hot Salad Bicycles. Come on.
It's a great
Hot
name.
Salad. That's right. They are just, so it's one of the few women-owned bike builders, frame builders. They really kind of simple, anodized colorations. What is it? Cycling Weekly called them equal parts industrial and jewel-like. I mean, they're just
cool.
simple, clean, and beautiful.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, and this is the description. This is what they hope for with their brand and company, that this bicycle will give you the shit-eating grin and tear-inducing laughter that the community and space you find as a result of riding becomes an incredible core memory. That, people, that's a mission statement. Right there.
That's a Karsten line.
That is freaking right there. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And of course they are, of course I would be remiss to point out they're based here in town, in Portland. Of course they are. But yeah, and
Portland
hot salad.
Nepo, baby.
Come on. Hot salad.
Hot Salad's a great name.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going with BFF Coffees, which is led by Tawny and Mary Steinke. I hope I got their name correctly. Steinke. They believe that life is too short to have a bad cup of coffee, which is something that I also believe in. They roast and ship their own beans direct to your home. And after reading about the brand and their product on the Women-Led Wednesday website, I ordered up some of their light roasted Brazilian beans to try myself. So I'll report back in the future, let you know how the BFF coffee was.
Okay.
But yeah, little coffee delivery service there by Tawny and Mary. So listen, we're heading into the era, or the time of year when we shop a lot. Head over to womenledwednesday.com and support the founders over there. 18 pages of brand. There's a lot of stuff on there.
Yep.
Check it out and support those brands. For our main story today, last week, SGB reported that Sierra added 14 new stores in Q3 and now operates 141 locations in the U.S. The Marmax division of TJX, which includes TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Sierra, also reported a 6% year-over-year growth. So, Sierra doesn't report separately, so we don't know how they show up in that combined number. But with the continued growth of stores and consistent TJX financial growth, do you believe it's safe to say Sierra is doing pretty well financially?
Absolutely. I mean, the TJX folks, they are smart merchants, believe me. And clearly they have found a format that's working. So they're just going to continue, once you kind of get that model, that prototype, that store, you just then start printing them out, basically. And to give you sort of a relative scale here, the 141 stores adds up to 2.9 million square feet. Okay. So it's a little over 20,000 feet per store. REI has 195 stores, and they're in kind of the 26,000 square feet range, so a little bit bigger. So they total about 5 million square feet. So what we're talking about now is Sierra's footprint is almost 60% the footprint of REI.
Does that make you reflect on Sierra? Like what that comparison of the size, like is it an advantage for Sierra? Is that something that as you look ahead, like that becomes more of a threat? And we're going to get into our REI part of this in a second.
It just shows that kind of volume that they've got to be doing in those stores. Now, I don't think they're doing the $500 a square foot or whatever that REI is, but
yeah.
They're doing some money in there. They're well over $1 billion by now with what they have out there. So yeah, I would say it's a meaningful business.
Okay. Well, we haven't talked about Sierra in a minute. So when we saw these latest numbers, we decided that a field trip was in order. So unfortunately, I don't have a Sierra near my home, but both Dave and Owen do. So they ventured out this week to check out their respective Sierras. So, Owen, and let's start with you. In 2024, you predicted a Sierra slowdown. These numbers obviously don't support that prediction. So what did you discover when you visited your local Sierra?
No, I majorly booted that one. Because my prediction at the time was based on the assumption that the rapid growth that they had seen was because of all these closeouts that were coming out of the outdoor industry being so over-inventoried in 23 and 24. But now, having revisited a store, and I've been in the stores before, but visiting this store this week, it was like, oh, I get it. Basically, really the specialty brand closeouts today it's probably just normalized back to where it was, but it's maybe 10% of the product in the store is from like what you would think of as a specialty outdoor brand, right? The vast majority is coming from made to order, SMU, private brand, whatever you want to call it, outdoorsy type brands like a Free Country or Jerry, or brands owned by the licensing houses like, Authentic Brands type of stuff, Spider, Volcom, right. Hurley, all those kinds of things. That's where it's coming from. And actually on my LinkedIn post this week, that was confirmed by an ex-TJ Maxx buyer that it is primarily, private label type stuff, along with the fact that their customer base is hugely female. Even so, Sierra, we're talking about here, very, very heavily female, which does explain the huge section that is dedicated to scented candles. So that mystery has been solved.
Were they pumped when you showed up? Like, oh my God, the consigliere's here.
Let's just say that I don't think the people that work there are big rock fight listeners. Also, I'm not sure they could answer the question about like what tent should I buy. Not the least of the reasons because they don't have any tents, but yeah, I just don't know that.
I was just going to say, did you even see a tent?
No.
I was surprised by how little of like kind of outdoor equipment there really was. There were some selected items, but it was really lights, maybe some dehydrated food, a little bit, pillowy type of things. But boy, there was really, I was struck by how un-outdoorsy it felt. It was really more home goods meets the apparel section of the ski swap. Right. Where it's just loaded up. I did count 6 30-foot racks of women's outerwear and 8 30-foot racks of men's outerwear. Now that's just outerwear. That's not casual. That's not activewear. That's not clearance. That is just straight up water resistant-ish, jackets and some pants. And it's an impressive array, in terms of that much. And like you said, the brand thing totally spot on. It's mostly the house brands. For me, Carhartt, Kiltech, LL Bean, Spider, those were the brands. And then some, like you said, Hurley was in the equipment section
for helmets. Yes.
For helmets, yeah.
Right.
And other thing, so that was kind of crazy. I thought the best buy there was the Burton 3-pack of hats for $17. Like that was just like, oh my gosh. But the apparel section really, and then you said like the choice brands were those little treasures. I found a Flylow piece in the women's section, right? There was a couple Cotopaxi items, some Black Diamond, hidden in there. Where was the men? There was some Helly Hansen, so it was, but you had to dig and look for those and get around. Again, like you said, most of just comes from about 4 or 5 types of brands.
And I would say I didn't really see evidence of like an SMU, from a particular brand, like like even in the footwear, for example, there was a Keen hiking boot in the women's section, but it was one particular color, and I don't know, maybe that color was an SMU, but I think it was more likely a closeout, and they just got rid of this one color and sold them all of them. Yeah.
I saw the same thing with Merrill having that type of product where it was the same color. It was pulled on an end cap, kind of thing. But the shoe department definitely felt more Kmart Kenny kind of energy with the types of styles that were there too. There were very few.
Kmart Kenny. There's a reference for our listeners.
Right. But there were very few of those true treasures that you found. I did find some Scarpa approach shoes that were kind of buried. Those were in the women's section. Those kind of stood out. But no, it is the place to score your Hey Dudes or your Crocs, right? That is no. Oh, and anything with fur in it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it's probably time of year, but boy, you could go from the sandal, the slide, to the mid top, to the
shearling
boot,
slippers,
to the ski. You've got it. No doubt about it. And Colin, I do want to report back to you too that you could score some Puffin drinkware, but just in some block colors of sleeping bags. There wasn't a lot of creative choice there. It was just kind of.
That was the one that didn't work.
If you want to hit the backpacking trail with some really nice aluminum wheel luggage, we've got you covered.
That's true. They did have a I will just go kind of keep moving from here. What I was impressed with, I mean, obviously there's so much of the clearance piece. The glove wall and the hat wall, right? Which they had
You were
both.
impressed with that?
Yeah, because it's all the brands. Well, I will say the sock wall, every brand you can think of, all different sizes from running to, to the crew, to the ski, the over the calf, all different price points from, single digits to double digits from nicer stuff. Smart Wool, of course, represented. They had some of the highest price points on the sock wall, about $14-15.
That's a pretty good deal for some Smart Wools.
It is. That's right. But everybody else was kind of down, or you had your multi-packs. I will say, and I don't know if this is store specific, what's the one brand of sock I didn't see, to my surprise?
Darn tough.
Darn Tough. That's right. They weren't on the sock wall.
Didn't see them.
And
Interesting.
Yeah,
No,
I had
and it
the
was
same
every
experience.
every form. So, but the sock wall, and the hat wall, and the glove wall. Just though, in terms of the amount of brands covered, not all of them were just licensing. There was a heavy amount of just I licensed a brand and put it on a glove.
Yep.
But if you are looking for, and again, this is kind of the idea too, where we're at this age of where things work well enough for what we need. You can get a really decent pair of gloves or a hat, or,
Well, that's
or
what I was
that
going to ask
kind of
about
thing.
basics.
Yeah,
Like, what
the
about, like,
basics. It's really, really a good place.
even accessories. I remember like Shantae shopping at one and picking up some Dr. Bronner's before heading out on a trip once. And I just think like that's kind of what I want to segue into the next part of the conversation, because I think I find it a fascinating thing to think about. And it reminds me of hearing you guys talk about this. There used to be and there might still be a fair amount of almost like Army Navy outdoor stores, which were very much
I miss
not
those.
like
Those are
like
great.
right?
Yeah.
Not like the gear shop.
R.I.P. Andy
not
and
quite
Bax.
a full, right? Just not quite a full-on outdoor store, but a lot of outdoor stuff and a little bit of that vibe of like you're not quite sure what you're going to find when you walk in here. And it sounds a lot like what you guys are describing. My hot take here is I think the specialty retail community, I mean, they honestly should embrace Sierra, because if you're a GOA dealer and an REI shows up in your town, I mean, that's basically a big box store masquerading as a specialty retailer, right? But if a Sierra shows up next door, I mean, think about what that Sierra can do for your community, right? It can service the entry-level people who will eventually find their way to my store as they go along on their outdoor journey. And then, like I mentioned, for the veteran adventurers, they might care about getting a deal or picking up an essential or a basic. But I think Sierra, based on what we're talking about, is more of a threat to REI than to anyone. I think their ability to sort of deal with unsold inventory, and given their cost structure, they can make and procure things that isn't a closeout. It's I don't know. It's going to be, I think it is more good than bad for the space, while also being more of a threat to REI than specialty. So I'm curious what you guys think about Sierra and their place in the sort of outdoor retail ecosystem.
Well, I would say, first of all, I agree that they're more of a threat to REI. Also, on this pod, I've railed against this whole affordability issue, or rather the affordability crisis. So I get where you're coming from there, although I might argue that there isn't really the equipment here to get a lot of people outdoors. But what I definitely don't agree with...
Get you started at least,
maybe.
Right? Get you
Maybe.
started.
I mean, hiking,
Well,
I think.
I was just going to say what it means to be outdoors. If you're talking about clothes that are going to keep you warm and dry from head to toe, you could do that.
True. Yeah, you could. What I don't agree with is that it should be the industry's outlet channel, or that the industry needs to support this channel. The industry definitely shouldn't be producing SMUs for this channel, right? I mean, so the way I look at closeouts is that the outdoor brands should be giving those closeouts to the retailers that are supporting their full price business as a way to help round out their margins and help to support them. Now, I think part of the challenge there is that within the brands, they look at closeout potentially as being, cannibalistic to the open to buy that these retailers have for the full price business. So like, I don't know, we don't want to mix these things up here, so we're going to, divert it here into this other channel. I just think that it's not the way to think about it. You want to think about it in the way of, no. I want to make my retailer healthier by allowing them to access these closeout goods, so they can then come back and buy more full price, right? So a healthier overall ecosystem. The other thing I would say is you can treat it as a bit of a carrot, right? So it is a privilege, not a right, that you get access to closeout. And so if you're one of our better retailers, you you buy into all of our programs, you do our training, you abide by MAP, you pay on time, all these things, then you get access to closeouts, which then helps your business. So I just think we need to keep it more in the family than to include
But isn't
Sierra.
that
How many of those are closeouts because they didn't sell in the channel in the first place?
That's what I mean. Right. I mean, it's a little bit of a says easy, does hard thing. I agree with you in principle, like offer it to the people you want to support the most. But if it's like, if you're sitting there, like, depending on the timing, what you have in inventory, maybe it's a dud color or something like that. And here's Sierra saying, I'll write you a PO today. And you can unload all of that inventory versus trying to piecemeal it out to a lot of individual shops. That's a hard thing to do. And to get them to, and there might be somebody out there to buy into it. And I'd actually be curious from brands who kind of have dabbled in this world. Do they do that? Do they kind of offer it up? Hey guys, we have this style and this size and this color. Who wants it? And then maybe when it's like, that's a dog, we don't want it. That's when the phone call gets made to the cleaner.
I think
Sierra. You know?
I think what happens is that I've lived this life, right? What's happened is the brands go out.
You've gotten that call.
Oh well, no, the brands go out with their their DM list or whatever, and it's here's 25% off, and go at it, right? It's like, okay, cool, but like it's 25% off. Is that a great deal when we know that you brand yourself are about to go like off price on these goods, and your first markdown is going to be 30 or 40% off? I'm already underwater at that number. Isn't that great? The reality of what's happening is that Sierra is getting that product at 70% off, right? That's how they're making their money. If the brands are willing to offer that product at 70 off to their retailers, they would not have a problem moving it.
Dave, it's just from your point of view. I mean, you've been kind of the roller coaster in your community with Next Adventure closing, and now it looks like they might be coming back. How does Sierra fit into your local REI vacating downtown, right? I mean, it's kind of an interesting retail situation in Portland. Having visited Sierra this week, what's your take on the kind of the retail landscape?
It's a little different apples to oranges. Like we were just talking about Sunlight and Cody. It's such a small town. Everybody's grouped together. This Sierra is miles and miles and miles from a specialty outdoor store. So they're not really competing. They are absolutely near an REI. So I don't necessarily see the same consumer crossover piece. If anything, I see it as an entry gateway to some of our brands, right, that people will discover and see, and maybe they don't normally come across because of that, again, that kind of looking for that value and that performance piece. It was an interesting. I was the most outdoorsy person in there, and I was wearing a Rockfight jacket, and I was not mobbed by people in their recognition.
All right, you're out, Sierra. We don't like you. You don't listen to the podcast. Come on.
Yeah, but I think that's a great point, Dave, is that Sierras are going to tend to be located in the same kind of suburban strip malls that have REIs, right? And the REI is going to be in the outlot as a beautiful building, and the Sierra is going to be in the strip mall.
Oh, definitely. I mean, other than the wide arrangement of tumblers that you could get from every brand, of course. Well, right?
Oh my gosh. Many Stanley tumblers.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We should have led with that.
If you were looking for any evidence that bubble had burst, holy crap.
That was it. But they had everybody. To be clear, everybody was present.
But
store.
At least in my store, they had Yeti, but it was all one style. It was their Rambler 35 tumbler, basically their version of the Stanley tumbler. Was the only one that was there in every color, by the way.
Like you said, I agree with you that the REI would be more of a problem. I mean, look, the entryway, the first thing you saw was a display of Jody's caramelized popcorn, right, in tin buckets. Like that was the first thing you saw. And then behind that was a cigar holding ashtray for your chair. Like, what does that have to do with anything? I don't know. But it's definitely,
probably got a good deal on it.
'Tis the season. Oh my gosh, yes. You could get the Spider base layer set for $17.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Spider was way over the top, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh.
When we're handing out our awards at the end of the year, do we give Spider the "It's Amazing You're Still in Business" award? I mean, how long has Spider been just aching to close up shop? It's been a minute.
We may want to hurry with that award, Colin. Otherwise, it might be posthumous.
I don't know.
It's the Wile E. Coyote Drop Fast Award. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh my God, how in the world?
It's time for a party shop.
All right, guys, time for the parting shot, which is brought to you by Garage Grown Gear. There are new items constantly being added over in Garage Grown Gear. Items like the Canyon Cracked Trail Butter, Round Bottom Pot Sacks by Light AF, and Classic Black Coffee Paste by No Normal Coffee. Coffee paste. You can see all the amazing new brands and products yourself by heading to garagegrowngear.com and clicking the flaming hot new button at the top of the homepage. And for my parting shot today, a couple of weeks ago, a friend of the Rock Fight, Darren Josie, put up a post on LinkedIn, which lovingly began with the phrase, "Gotta throw a rock here." You know, who loves an homage more than me? No one. He went on to call out trade shows for putting out calls for educators to come on their shows and sit on panels, moderate conversations, or simply just present on their personal expertise, and then not be compensated for their effort or even have their expenses covered by the show. So it may actually be surprising to some of you listening to this, but Darren was spot on in his commentary. Back in the age of peak outdoor retailer, it was seen as a perk just to be at the show no matter the cost. So if you didn't work at a brand or a retailer that would pay for your attendance, the thinking was that even if you had to incur the expense of attending on your own, the high upside was enough to justify it. And that mentality is kind of carried over into our more modern, more diminished trade show scene. And I think we may have even said on one of our Switchback recap pods last summer that the show should have spent more money covering the expense of more media representatives to cover the show. So Darren, in his post, called out both Switchback and Outdoor Retailer, and was right to do so. And here's the value of speaking up, folks, because Diversified Communications, the parent of TRE, and yes, we are going to that show, but they're not paying us to say this. But they had a conversation with Darren and Teresa Baker, and they announced last week that Switchback event will now offer speaker packages, which may include honorarium, travel stipend, and or complimentary housing.
And actually also, Colin, recently with Raccoon Media's announcement about taking over the management of the ISPO show next year, they said they're going to be investing $1 million in content and educational elements of the show. So they definitely get it.
That's amazing. And like all of this has happened in a matter of weeks because Darren shined a light on something that we probably should have been doing anyway. So back to the email that opened this episode, let's remember that it's important to be loud about our beliefs. And people like Eoin Comerford speak out about things. He's doing it for good reason because good things actually do happen every once in a while if you speak up. So that's my parting shot. I can't believe that happened that quick. I'm being honest. The fact that they had a call and then they're like, yeah, we were wrong. We should be doing this. And then they just kind of made that change. It's pretty sad.
I actually, I didn't see Darren's piece, but I saw the outreach from them for speakers. And I had the same kind of reaction, but I didn't do anything with it. So just fucking kudos to Darren for stepping up there. Love it.
All right, everyone, that's the show for today. We want your emails. Send them to myrockfight@gmail.com. And The Rock Fight's a production of Rock Fight LLC. Today's episode produced by producer David Karstad with art direction provided by Sarah Gensert. For Eoin Comerford, I'm Colin True. Thank you for listening. And to take us out like he always does, it's Krista Makes with the Rock Fight fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Boom.